Good morning. It's June 1st, 2020, and it's pretty. I'm in here in Casper, Wyoming. I'm Steve Chickatans. It's pretty warm here today, and it's early in the morning, about 6:30 in the morning. So, anyways, today's topic is imagination and beliefs. Um, we become what we think about. This is something that a lot of people, a lot of uh, wise people over the years have disagreed about all kinds of different things, but they all seem to agree that what a person dwells on or thinks about or uses their imagination for with belief becomes their reality. So what we think about creates the reality, good or bad. So if you're if you think something is a certain way, if you think somebody is likes you or doesn't like you, it can be really simple stuff like that. It'll become a reality. It's almost um, I mean, I guess in some ways you can look at it and say, well, I didn't imagine and create the bad thing that happened to me, and but if you really go back and look at it, I guess that it's going to be the perception of what that bad thing is one person saying something bad happened to him is another person looking at something that happens as an opportunity. So again, back to the imagination and belief. Can something that seemingly bad for one person be good for another? And I think the answer to that question is yes, it can. They can have that. So, my, I what I want to get through today is that when you when you believe something, and whether it's right or wrong, it can be true for you. You can believe that the color red is black and the color yellow is orange. I mean, you can believe that, and for you it would be true, but for another person it may not be true. So one of the neat things about the imagination is you can you can you can use your imagination to create your reality. So when you use your imagination to create your reality, that essence, what does that mean? Or I guess the thing is that and then how do we define imagination? I mean that's been something I've thought a lot about. Where is that? What is the definition of imagination? I mean, where does it come from? What is the, there's the word image in there. So image may be something that you may be seeing on the screen right now. You see the image that's in front of you, or it might be a piece of paper with a drawing on it. And in the really ancient times, we'll find caves with drawings on it, and that's an image. And so the people that wrote those images on those cave drawing were using their imagination at the time. And so when what so that image or the imagination, you just take the image and you put that on. You can imagine. The thing is about the imagination is it's completely infinite. I mean, there is literally nothing that you could not imagine in your imagination. I mean, truly, all things are possible. I mean, you can go to the furthest away star that's hundreds of billions of light years away in an instant. I mean, only in the imagination can you do that. You can do almost anything. I mean, the possibilities are literally endless. And in my belief, I mean, if you've ever listened to Neville Goddard, he believes that he was a kind of a forward-thinking person that started speaking in the 1940s, and he was done. I think by the 1960s. He died in, I believe, the late 60s or early 70s. But his premise was that he believed that the human imagination was Jesus Christ. And when you stop and think about it, all things are possible for those who believe. And so imagination and beliefs have to do with, if you stop and think about your imagination and the infinite possibilities. Now, what I think the key is what we do with our imagination is we take it and we use it for, we don't control it. We use it. It's an amazing thing, and a lot of times we end up using it. It's like we imagine the worst. We imagine what we don't want, and then we go around wondering why we have what we don't want. Why is my life so terrible? Probably because you imagined it that way. And I think some of this has to do one thing you have complete control over. A lot of things in our life we don't have any control over. Like I a lot of times feel like I have no control over what the government does or doesn't do, even though we are in probably the freest society that's ever been devised here in the United States. But a lot of times I feel that I don't have control over that. But the one thing we have 100% complete control over is the use of our imagination and the way we think and the way you look at things. So your imagination and the way you believe, you have complete 100% control over that. And so you can use your imagination for good, and you could also use it for bad. I mean, without controlling this incredible thing, we end up going down. We can go down some pretty dark roads. For example, using your imagination to remember things that were really terrible in your life, or that was really, you went through maybe some really difficult times. It was very hard and troublesome, and you just go over and over and over it in your imagination. And the problem is with doing that is, I'm not saying that we shouldn't, remember. I mean, the stuff I've gone through has made me who I am today, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not saying that I forget about it or make light of it, but I'm just saying that for me to go back, for example, I broke my leg and I had to have 2 major surgeries. It was a very, bad break. It shattered it. And so they had to go in and reconstruct it, and metal plates and screws. And I mean, it was a 6 to 8 month recovery time. Now, if I go back in my imagination and I just go over and over and over again, remembering how I broke it and over and over and over, I'm not saying I forgot it, but using my imagination to vividly visualize myself in that situation, I don't believe anything much good could come of that. And it's possible that I could attract having it broke again, or causing some other kind of problems. So you have control over your imagination. So I'd prefer to use my imagination to say, now that I've got metal and screws in my leg's stronger than it ever has been. And I believe that. So for me, that's true. For someone else, it might not be. It might be, I got metal in my leg. I feel it every day and it hurts. I don't imagine or think that. So for me, that's true, that my leg that's got this. Sometimes I forget which leg it was that the screws were put in, because they both feel about the same. And actually, when I think about which one it was, that one does seem to be stronger and better. And I've got stuff in there that no one else has. So, right or wrong, that's my belief, and that's how I use my imagination. So the neat thing with imagination is you can use it for anything. Anything in your life. You can use your imagination to you can imagine yourself successful. You can imagine having different things. You can imagine being peaceful. You can imagine having friendships in your life. You can imagine all kinds of things, and it's neat. One of the things, that's something that, and I hope I know my definition of imagination is vastly lacking. I'll just put it that way. I don't know that anyone can truly define what it is exactly, because and then it comes to the essence of who we are. So we are our human imagination. Jesus Christ is our imagination. If that's true, what Neville Goddard said, then we are in a sense, Jesus Christ is part of us. So it's incredible when you really stop to consider what the imagination is and how it works. It definitely creates reality. You know, if you use your imagination, one of the keys that the things that I've done is uh, I have taken some of the goals that I've had and I've imagined those goals, and I see myself achieving something. For one of my simple things that I do is I've made it a goal to do 1,000 push-ups, and I see myself doing those 1,000 push-ups. You know, and another powerful thing that you can use your imagination for is to be grateful. Stop and think. You know, be grateful. I'm so happy and grateful for my eyes, for my head, you know, for my thinking, for my legs and my arms and my feet and my heart and my internal organs. I'm so happy for you know, for the people in my life. I'm so happy for the family, my family members. And when you start to be grateful and use your imagination in that way, it's just there's something about that that's an amazing it can be an amazing experience. And you know, in your imagination, all things are possible. Anything is possible. I mean, if you can believe it, I mean, you can literally move mountains. And you know, there's some amazing people. I mean, there's a company right now called SpaceX, and it's this Elon Musk has this one person decided that they were going to build rockets, and actually his ultimate goal is to go to Mars. He wants to his goal is to for a human being to land on Mars by 2030. And you know, all that started in his imagination, and then he took action on it. But I think the action that's important is first of all the action of the imagination. So you know, you could say, "Oh, I couldn't ever imagine that. That guy's a billionaire," and that's true. He is a billionaire, but it all starts with his imagination. I believe that he just has an ability to control his imagination, and use it to for what he wants a little more than the rest of us do. And is he better than us? Oh, heck no. Are we better than him? No. You know, I heard somebody say one time that you know, we're all born equal with the rights to become unequal. So Abraham Lincoln said that a person's about as happy as he makes up their mind to be. And so you could also say, well, a person's as happy as they imagine themselves to be. You can imagine yourself happy, and you can imagine yourself sad. The imagination is infinite. Anything you can think of, and it's a creative. It's so creative. You can think of. I mean, I could probably talk for an hour just about the word imagination and what it is, because of the infinite possibilities. I mean, and if you look around today, look around at the different inventions. Just go to your cell phone. Your cell phone here. I mean, that came from a person's imagination. We're totally, you know, it's an amazing device. But there's other things. I mean, our incredible roads in the United States. I mean, I have a place in Mesa, Arizona, and when I'm in Phoenix and I drive through Phoenix and some of the incredible roads, it just, I mean, most people are just complaining that they're in traffic, but I am in awe of the engineering feat that took to build those incredible roads. And I mean, that all started in the imagination. But everything from a paper clip to paper, to any device that you see, anything you see, first started out of the imagination. The pen started in someone's imagination. It was probably back during those cave dwellers, you know, when they were you know, however they were making those drawings with, I guess, with rocks and carving it into the caves, or however they did it. It started with that, and you know, people had another way to do it. A lot of the farming equipment today became out of people's imaginations, and so it's an incredible, amazing thing, and it's something that all of us have, unless you're severe. I don't know that I don't know that I think every human, that's what separates human beings from animals, is the human imagination. Animals do not have the capacity to have the imagination, and if they do, it's at a very low level. Your imagination is truly infinite. And so, my encouragement to you today is use your imagination and realize that what you focus on and what you imagine, it will come to pass. And so, if you keep that image in your head long enough, and today I want you to think about your imagination and what it means and what you could actually do with it, and realize that whatever you use it for, it can happen. It's all things are possible for them who believe. So you could say it this way: with your imagination, all things are possible when you believe it. And all things mean all things. Anything is possible. So it's pretty exciting today. So again, I'm Steve Shiggetans. My theme of these talks have always been don't give up. So you might say to yourself, even on this imagination thing, you might say, oh, I can't control my imagination. Thoughts come to me, and it seems like I have no control over them. And that could be true at some level. And again, that's even an imagination. So you can, somebody said one time that you can't stop a bird from nesting in your hair, but you don't have to leave it there. You don't have to just accept it and leave it there. So use your imagination. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep trying. Keep working with your imagination. Use a pen and paper, and write things down. When you write it down and use your imagination in that way. So when you think of it, write it down, journal it. There's somebody on the internet. There's somebody on YouTube right now, Ella Ringwald, and she just posted some stuff recently about scripting, writing things down, and she has a real simple way to explain that. But when you write it down, use your imagination and write things down. It's so powerful. But I want to encourage you today: be grateful. Don't give up. Hang in there. It's possible. You can make this happen. And have a great day. And we'll see you next time.